across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good evening to you. I feel slightly hyperactive already. It's like I'm already in weird hour and it's only 7 o'clock. Normally we have Drake for 10 o'clock, but, well, no, 9 o'clock. Gets weirder after 10 o'clock, believe me. But we only have 2 hours today, so we may as well just weird it up right from the get-go. That's my thinking. Ain't that right, Mr. Barnes?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, he's looking weird. In fact, not only is you're not looking weird, actually very elegant. Very elegant, I'd say. And the colour. So earlier on, I was in the makeup room getting my slap done. My eyeliner was being done. See, nice and precise. Didn't do it myself.
No.
Normally, you know, when I do it myself, especially when I'm on the train, I do one like this and it bounces, and I'm like, oh, I've got to make that one equal. Then I got like Amy Winehouse. So it's been professionally applied today. Anyway, I was sitting there getting my eyeliner done, and I heard someone sort of, you know, come into the makeup room, and there'd been an exchange of, can you wait just 5 minutes? And I was thinking, with my eyes shut, I was like, I wonder who that is. Yeah. Who's that? Whose voice is that? Anyway, I opened my eyes and I look in the mirror and I could see from the angle of the mirror a man who appeared to be half naked, just wearing a jacket and a tie. And I was like, whoa! And it was Pete Barnes.
Yes.
Except he wasn't.
I wasn't.
Naked.
I had pink
He's
trousers.
Just got flesh-coloured jeans on.
Yes, I had bright pink trousers on.
I don't know bright pink. They're very flesh.
Pink,
they're flesh-coloured.
Yeah, they're the colour of the tie, basically.
Flesh-coloured.
Well, my brain doesn't go there, but yours clearly did.
Look, I didn't have my glasses on, so everything was a little bit blurry, and I thought, I just, you know, I didn't quite know what was going on. I was like, is it naturist hour?
Well, it's London.
In Talk Towers? You never know. Oh, talking about that, the other day on the train going home, there was a guy who got out his wang.
What?
Didn't care for it.
No.
You know, you leave London to escape the weird, but the process of the getting further away from London, you still have to deal with a lot of the weird.
Yeah.
We were just talking earlier, actually, about last night on my commute home. I just feel so sad sometimes about the world. Do you feel sad about the world?
No, not really, because you just accept misery after a while.
Oh, I don't.
No, right.
I don't do accepting
It's not quite
misery.
broken you yet.
But I sit there and I think, you know, God, it's horrible. And 40 years' time, when I'm, well, probably dead, you know, there's not going to be any British people left on this little island. It's going to be gone, done, over, finished, you know. Gloucester Cathedral, one of the best buildings on planet Earth, will have an imam standing on its tower. And, you know, I'm just like, these things upset me very much so, especially when I think about the sacrifice made by my grandparents. And I get very upset by these things. And to cheer myself up, I remember once a sort of, you know, hearing psychologists say, you know, if you sleep well at night, make a list. Make a list. It's normally the list of all the things you've got to do so you don't worry about them. But I was like, do you know what? I'm going to make a list of things that I really like.
Oh, that's nice.
So I did this. I don't know why. I just sat on the train, itemising things that I really like. Oh. No particular number, no particular category or order. It was just a sort of brain dump.
That's cool.
And Chuck, who's produced me today, who is, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the chief of all that. He's like elite.
He is. Yeah.
He's
you
like
know you're in safe hands.
He's literally, he is like, you know, he is the sort of platinum class.
Oh, yeah.
Of producer.
100%.
He's the oldest. Oh, that's true, actually.
Experienced.
All the others are sort of, you know, playing in a sandpit while Chuck's getting on doing proper adult things, like, you know, producing me right now. Yeah. But, you know, this is the genius behind shows such as Plank of the Week, all of it, basically. He's a comedy genius more than anything. And he's, let's do your listicle. At the end of the show, we can do it like Baz Luhrmann with that sunscreen, you know, just some music.
And now for you, only one tip for the future: sunscreen would be it. That's
Yeah, especially for fair-haired people like me.
I think I learned it for some reason.
It is quite nice to listen to about it. Yeah. But then I was like, actually, if we're going to do my listicle, it should be these are a few of my favourite things.
Yeah. So mine would be very short. It wouldn't be very long. There's not a lot of things I like.
Big dogs.
Yeah, big dogs. Yeah, that's about it,
We learned this in the makeup room.
Yeah. Apparently I had the face for a cat person.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I just say, I think sometimes when you look at people, you can tell if they're a cat person or a dog person, right? This all came about because Kev had an arts critic guest on, and you made a point that she probably has cats, and I said, nah, she's got whippets. That's a whippet over his face.
Yeah, we did this thing where we did a whole backstory for this woman that we don't know.
The poor woman. Yeah, we've invented a whole life.
Yeah, a whole life for her.
Yeah, she's like our own sim, our talk sim. And I looked at Peter and I had this memory that he's told me that he's a dog person before, which is strange because he's got a cat owner's face.
Well, I don't like cats and cats don't like me, so...
That's because you look like a cat.
That's
why they hate you.
But, this has gone weird. We're 8 minutes in.
I love the fact Chuck's trying to make me get an Ofcom against me. He's like saying things in my ear and says, don't say that. I'm like, this is like production jeopardy.
Yeah, production jeopardy.
Talking about production jeopardy, so we were singing, these are a few of my favourite things, and I thought I might try and introduce what's coming up on the programme.
Good luck.
Okay, so how did we go? Inbreeding, midwives and licence fee rises. Trump bombing Iran and Mandelson surprises. Penis injections at winter skiing. These are a few of my... Well, they aren't really my favourite things,
they're not.
No, but they're coming up on tonight's show! Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, so I could have done with that a bit earlier, quite frankly, but there we go. But we will have it ready for my listicle later. So there you go. I hope you've got the menu for tonight's a la carte current affairs.
It's an interesting selection of stories, and I have to admit, as soon as I saw this story about the Winter Olympic Games, I was like, this is what I'm talking about, isn't it? Yeah.
I saw it yesterday, and I sent it to Dean going, oh, come on, I've got Samara in the studio. We got to talk about the Willies, the Winter Willies.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, didn't put it in there. So that's good. We get to talk about Winter Willies.
Yes.
They were big on the Willies tonight. There's a sort of rich scene of willification that's going to be running throughout the programme. If you want to let me know your thoughts on, well, anything from inbreeding to willies, 03444 99 1000 is the number to call. I know an Ofcom's coming. It's like 9 minutes past 7 and it's already gone mad. Normal network rate, ladies and gentlemen, so it doesn't cost you as much as actually phoning up a hotline where you say, can I have some willy action, please? You get it here for free. 87222 is the number if you want to send a text message. If you're going to do that, you've got to write the word talk before you text. I don't know why. I used to come up with excuses why, and I can't be bothered
my favourite was because otherwise the Russians might intercept it. I remember you saying that one time.
Oh, no, I'll tell you why. If you don't do this, there's this massive black hole they've now discovered at the centre of the Milky Way that gives off more energy than the Death Star.
Yeah.
So if you don't write the word talk, it gets obliterated somewhere in the stratosphere. OK, we've got to get on with news and stuff, don't we? So here we go. The NHS has recruited a midwife in Bradford in order to deal with, close relative marriage neonatal nurse.
Yes.
So basically, there's a specific nurse who's got to deal with all of the birth defects as a result of cousin inbreeding.
Yes, pretty much. That's the story.
Just why aren't we just banning it? Come on now.
I mean, well, the reason we tried to get it banned, but the Labour Party pulled it because it was going to lose because of the independent, Gaza MP lot. They were going to vote it down. And that's one of the reasons that they pulled it. And I think it was obviously this kind of pandering for the Muslim vote situations. It's abhorrent, it's wrong, and it should be banned. And the cost of it is absolutely astounding. You know, the support that these people are going to need. And, you know, a lot of it is actually done because they use it as a way to kind of bring people into the country through the visas. That's what they do.
I've got loads to say on this subject. Yeah. Coming from so close to the Forest of Dean, I'm joking. You know I love the forest. It's my favourite place on planet Earth. It's just a Gloucestershire joke, and the people in the Forest of Dean laugh about it. It's fine.
Do they laugh about it?
Well, the ones with 6 fingers don't, but, you know, the others do. No, I love it. I love it. I shouldn't actually, you know, if I could choose to be MP for anywhere, it would be the Forest of Dean. I'm just saying, I love that place. It's
a great name for a place. You know, the MP, Member of Parliament for the Forest of Dean, sounds very fairy tale.
Now I'm thinking of, I'm just imagining Dean.
I keep thinking about the Dean.
Don't want to go down his forest. But no, I mean, I had a friend who was, well, she still is a surgeon.
Yes.
But she worked for a while in Manchester Children's Hospital. And this was years ago. It must be like early noughties, about 20 odd years ago, she said to me, you know, Alex, everybody coming in. She was working with a specialist of this thing called short bowel syndrome, which is where very often babies, especially with genetic defects, can have their intestines on the outside of their bodies, and then they have to sort of put them all back in and then find ways to do sort of certain cuts in the bowel to lengthen it. Anyway, but she was basically saying to me, in Manchester Children's Hospital, almost all the children with birth defects are all from one particular community because of the inbreeding. Yes. This was 20 years ago. It's wicked.
Yes, it is.
To willfully bring children into the world that have such a high prevalence of genetic disorders, those children really suffer.
Yes.
They really suffer. And what I find abhorrent is, was it the BMJ, one of these journals lately?
Oh, yes.
Did an article, a piece. It might not be the BMJ or whatever, but one of them did a sort of piece going, reasons why cousin marriage is so great for community relations. Yay! I'm like, this is so messed up. Come on now.
I mean, let's not forget that the NHS still can't define what a woman is, and it's the National Health Service. So, you know, my standards for that thing is not very high, but I do think you're right that they have a reputation for this. They've got form on it, and I do say that the job isn't necessarily an endorsement of the practice, but I think the job shouldn't exist, if you know what I mean. Like, we shouldn't have to deal with this.
Right.
Because I go back to what actually
It should be banned. We have a moral code in this country. It should apply to everybody uniformly. There aren't people who suddenly get magical exemptions because they're from different communities. What is wrong is wrong. This is the rule of this land.
Yeah. I think Maloney has a really good point on this. She made it when she was on about banning the burqa. She talks about cultural crimes, such as like female genital mutilation, things like this, that are practiced within certain communities that have to be rooted out and they have to be kind of cast up because they're not part of Italy's values or of our values. And I think this is the big point.
Also, they're just wicked.
Yeah,
they're just wicked. Yeah. Cutting off labia is wicked. Okay. Yeah, it's not nice. Yeah. Deliberately, willfully marrying a close relative and then having a deformed child is wicked. Yeah. It's not okay. I don't know if you know, you'll have heard of Five Pillars, the sort of Muslim organisation with a YouTube channel. I've actually been on their YouTube channel as a guest of Dilly Hussein, and Dilly and I get along very well because actually, do you know what? Dilly will say openly, I am an Islamist, i.e. I am politically Muslim. I would love to see Britain become a caliphate because I'm a Muslim and I think Islam is great. And I just say, you know, respect for wearing your beliefs on your sleeve. We don't agree on most things. Although weirdly, there is a fair amount we do agree on.
Culturally conservative.
Yeah, culturally conservative. But he's got a little buddy, Roshan Salis or something. Anyway, he's also, I think he's the top dog at Five Pillars. And I think he is a deliberate agitator.
Oh,
you
right,
know?
okay.
Because he's always writing things on X, and I'm just like, come on, son. So he put the other day, why do Reform UK endlessly push pubs and drinking culture? I can only assume it's because unhealthy slobs who vote for them spend all their time in pubs. Alcohol is bad for you, and pubs are a bad environment for anybody. I hope they all close.
Oh, that is Twitter bait of the finest order. That is so much bait.
Yeah. And I just thought, you know what? You know, the day that I am Empress of the rejuvenated, wider Commonwealth of the United States. I've got some big plans.
We got the Emperor by back.
I've come up with a new citizenship test. Because at the moment they have to sit there, do a bit of boning up and, you know, get a few kings in the Middle Ages.
Actually, to be fair, it's quite a difficult test. I have to admit, the history bit is actually quite hard if you don't know it.
But, you know, if you bone up, then you can pass that test. But no, I've got a new citizenship test. Tell me what you think about this. Down a Wellington boot of either Tennant's Extra, which is a very high ABV Scottish beer, or Scrumpy Cider, of course. Yeah, chased down by a bag of extra hairy pork scratchings, and do the spinning broom challenge while singing Chaz and Dave on a monthly reassessment basis.
Yeah.
Do that, and you get to become a British citizen.
Agreed.
I think that sorts out a whole lot of problems.
And also, you have to tell me exactly where the closest Wetherspoons is from whichever train station you're at.
You wouldn't need to be doing things like banning FGM, or you know, having midwives for close relation marriage. If you basically made the British citizen test a drinking competition.
Yes. Well, I didn't say what we should have a drinking competition is how ridiculous we make things sound without saying it. So, like, you know, there's close relations, like these titles that they come up with. I think it's amazing.
Earlier, the left have a brilliant way of doing this. Yes. Like, you know, euthanasia is dignity in dying. Not state sanctions, you know, murder.
Actually, it used to be the right of politics used to be brilliant at it. Like the death tax was what is inheritance tax. You know, the right used to lead the way on this. Now the left do it so much better.
But yeah, the left have, because I was saying to Kev, they've got. You must have heard the term map. No?
I don't think so.
Clearly, my algorithms are
I don't know.
all sorts of bad
dread
business.
to think what your algorithm
is. No, but MAPS is a left-wing term being pushed out of certain sort of weird university departments in America. It means a minor attractive person.
Yes,
You have heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
It's a paedophile!
Yes. Yeah,
I hate this sort of weird sanitised language they try and do.
Yeah, because they're trying to move it into the LGBTQ thing as well. And we're like, no, thank you.
Yes. It's like tap surgery. It's a mastectomy.
Yes.
But I mean, what was quite creepy about going back to this, the Bradford NHS Trust, Bradford Teaching Hospitals, it's the way that they say the position would involve, this is in the advert, providing comprehensive care and support to families who have recently had a baby and are close relatives. And then it lists examples: cousins, uncles, aunts, or other closely related family members.
That's it.
So cousins was bad enough.
I know,
We're now going down aunts and uncles, and then the category. What are you doing? Your dad?
Exactly. Well,
Your
it wouldn't
brother?
surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm just going to be brutally honest about it, because, like I said, a lot of it is done to get people into the country.
But that would be. I don't think that would be a high-scoring team in Family Fortunes. Can I just say?
No, don't.
You know, with all the issues that may ensue.
Yeah, that is not your top answer, is it?
I love the fact that through the glass, I thought Chuck was about to start a Mexican wave at that point. He enjoyed that.
No.
If Chuck finds something funny, I feel like I've got like extra awards.
Yeah.
Shall we take a break now, Chuck? Let's do it. Let's take a break now, young men and young ladies. And if you'd like to get involved with the conversation, the number is 03444 99 1000. Normal network rates for that. 8722 on the text, like the word talk before you message. Normal network rate on that. And WhatsApp, if you've hooked up to your next door neighbour's internet, it's free. 03444 99 1000. Leave me a little voice note, a riddle, a limerick, a short form rap. 10 of your favourite things, a listicle, you know, input into inbreeding. I don't know. Throw some facts and figures at me.
Well,
I love to hear it. Random fact, I love it. Just any random fact that you may possess. Send it my way. I love them. This is, I've got so many in the can. Yeah. So many weird random facts.
When I knew you were on, I was like, I'm going to have to just have random things in my head now.
I'm just going to have to eat a whole sort of deck of Trivial Pursuit cards.
Pretty much.
I know. I boss a pub quiz. Right, we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
On the point about who will lead, I mean, you need a leader who will appeal to the country, not just someone who appeals to the Labour Party. I completely accept the argument that you can't just have someone who indulges the wishes of the Labour Party. You need someone who's going to appeal to the country. For me, I think the only person who comes near that is Shabana Mahmood. And if it ever came to a leadership election, I would like to see her stand.
Well, she'd be the best of a bad lot in my view. I think she's unfortunately too right-wing for that electorate, Paul Embry.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
All right, welcome back. Messages are coming in already. Chuck lets me choose my own messages.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Because I was like, there's nothing in my special presenter message bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? Why don't you click on this, the consolidated inbox? And I'm like, I get to choose?
I know.
I
That's
get to, like, lifetime edit.
I gotta say, Chuck, did you not get the memo that we weren't supposed to let you do that?
Yeah, if ever I did that, I did on the 10 till 1. If I did that on the 10 till 1, Ted, well, he's normally Julia's producer, and Ted's learned the headmistress's ways. You know, Ted is strict.
Yes.
Ted is strict. No, yeah, he's like Mel Smith, isn't he? Yeah, I love Ted.
Yes, same.
We've got to be careful what we say, because Ted is actually half Pakistani. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
He is! Chucky actually is!
I feel like this was something somebody told you.
It is not even a lie. This is a truism. I love Ted. Anyway, we're talking about the BBC.
Yes.
BBC in crisis. I mean, it should be in crisis. The problem is
it's not in crisis.
On.
It's just its existence is crisis. It doesn't. It's never out of it. So therefore,
So here they are. They sort of like hand-wring. They go, oh well, we've been like wrongly splicing together footage to look like the leader of the free world was inciting an insurrection. Never mind, that happened by accident. Oh look, we didn't take off the live feed when someone was shouting for the death of people in Israel. Oh, what can we do? What a shame. I know, let's put up the licence fee.
Yeah.
When there's the whole conversation about don't put up the licence fee, that's exactly what they do. Yeah. And you know what I don't understand? They all hand-wring, like, how are we going to do this? How can we make the BBC affordable? How can this licence fee? It's so... I just can't figure this out. I'm like, dude... When the BBC first launched, there was like 2 channels and about 4 national radio stations, and maybe even like 3 national radio stations at most, and a handful of regional stations. Now you've got BBC 3 and 4. What do they even do? Get rid of that. That's a nonsense, isn't it? You've got the BBC Sounds, which I think is fair enough.
Yeah.
If you've got a bin that you can put all of your sort of Radio 4 content in, and people like me can go back and listen to it, fine. But they literally give all these like washed-up has-been celebrities podcasts.
Yes, yeah.
They've given that Philip Sands Casey a podcast. I'm like, the guy who sold the Chagos Islands or whatever. So why has he got a podcast?
Oh, God,
how much are you paying him?
Who is listening to that?
You don't need the cash money.
Who is listening to that? I want a list of the people, and then we can deport them.
No one
Who is listening
BBC
to that?
3.
That's ridiculous.
So, do you know what? I'm going to play what is in BBC Sounds, because I like BBC Sounds. There's some good stuff in there. Things that I would keep in our time.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
Yeah. Iconic, yeah.
And also, it reminds me of when I was at university and used to fall asleep 5 minutes into a lecture.
Yeah, that's true,
when you can't nod off, it's like you've got to pick something kind of not interesting enough that you're going to listen to it. But it's got to be interesting enough that you at least start the process of
you can pretend to listen to it, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, look at this. The latest in our time is panpsychism. I don't even know what that is. Yeah. Some kind of consciousness is present, but not in our human brains, but throughout the universe. See, actually, I can't listen to that one till off. That's too interesting.
That's too interesting, yeah.
That's too good. Yeah.
That's like The Exorcist last week.
that is way too good. Oh, look at this one. The ongoing mysteries of Egypt's pyramids of Giza. Good.
That's, again, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. There's good. There can be some good stuff, but then you go down and you just have all like Sophie Ellis-Bextor's Kitchen Disco. Why do we need that?
Oh, well, that was massive over COVID, wasn't it? She did.
The Traitors Uncloaked.
Oh, yeah, apparently it was 6 years ago. No.
That's not needed.
No.
We don't need that. There's just so many things in here, especially, the podcasts of these sort of like vague schlebs.
Yeah, my favourite is it's comedians interviewing other comedians, and then they go on their podcast, and then they go on their podcast. Like, it's just the same people just talking in a circle, if you think about it.
I can't. But you know what? If I wanted to go make a blimmin' podcast, I'd have to sort of buy a Yeti mic, put some interesting stuff on
the background. Yeah.
And get on with it.
Pretty much.
I wouldn't go to the BBC and go, oh, can you pay me to do it?
Because that's the point, is that they throw thousands and thousands of pounds at these things.
What is this?
For what?
What is this? There's a door. Why? There's something called You've Let Your Country Down with Emily Maitlis. She left the BBC. She sat with that other lot being all left-wing and mental. Yeah. You don't bring her back and give her a pot. That's mad.
Also, do you not see the irony of getting her to present a programme called that?
Ellis James and John Robbins. Me neither. Who's that then? See, in our time, Henry IV Part 1, perfectly valid.
Yeah.
Love to hear it. Nice and erudite. I could go through this for ages because there's just way too many things on here that just shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist. The Martin Lewis podcast. Oh, look, Martin Lewis has got some decent little tips.
Yeah.
He works for ITV. Let him go and do his money tips. I'm like, why are you giving him a podcast?
I was going to say, yeah.
He knows how to save money. He don't need it. He don't need any of my licence fee. In fact, why doesn't Martin Lewis do his next BBC podcast on how the BBC can cut the licence fee?
Yeah.
There's a thought. That would be worth listening to. Well, probably not. But this is what... what is the FPL podcast from BBC? I don't even know what FPL is as a sport.
First person? No. I have no idea.
There's just so much stuff on here that you're like, you don't
And then
need
I'd love to know what the
Help,
listening figures
I
are.
sexed my boss.
Oh, that's huge, actually, to be
Is
fair.
it?
And I've listened to that. That's quite funny, actually. It's William Hanson
Is it
and the
good?
guy from Radio 1. I think he was at Radio 1 or his Capital.
The Wayne Rooney show. Wayne Rooney could pay to make his own podcast. He don't need my bit of licence fee. And do you know how many times I've watched the BBC in the last month?
Oh, zero. I can say with firm confidence, zero.
I think I have watched it 4 times precisely, or 3 times precisely, because I can measure it by the numbers of Gladiators episodes there has been. That's it. I know that's how many times I've watched the BBC, because the only thing I watch on the BBC is Gladiators.
Yeah.
And I don't even use their cruddy news website, because it ain't even news.
No,
It's
I
just
have to
rubbish.
admit. I've got the app on my phone, but that's it.
What's that, Chuck? Oh, my favourite Gladiator. That is not difficult. In fact, there is one who's my favourite. Well, which category? Are we doing it on looks? Are we doing it on novelty? Are we doing the men, the women? I mean, basically, if we're doing it on sort of a novelty factor, if I was a little kid, on novelty factor, my favourite Gladiator would be Giant. Because he does this thing like this, and he puts his arms out, and it's like his whole back pops out like a turtle shell. He's massive.
Yeah.
Is that your favourite as well? Yeah, he's solid. Giant's great.
Right.
But then I like Bionic. He's like...
I've not seen any of the new ones.
Bionic's great. He's also quite hot.
Oh, God.
And then Apollo. Apollo's the one that I'm like, dang.
I mean, I'm going to say his name is Apollo.
Yeah, let's book Apollo. If we're going to book a Gladiator for next week, are they easy to book?
Are they easy to book?
If there was a Gladiators podcast, I'd probably listen to that on the BBC. In Vision. Start the Gladiators podcast. It is a great... I could talk about Gladiators.
There will be one. There
home.
definitely will be one.
And there were some good competitors this year. There was this really cool, she's a crazy-looking vicar woman.
Oh, there's always
smashing that Travelator.
Yeah.
It's just a great show.
I have to admit, I've never seen the new one, but I used to watch the old one.
So normally remakes, I'm like, don't.
Yeah.
But this, it doesn't just do justice to the original series. It's got some new events. I'm going to say it. I actually think some of the new events are better. I do miss Shadow.
Yeah, I'm going to say Shadow.
Can't, like, there's some iconic gladiators.
Wolf.
Shadow and Wolf. Like, there's some iconic gladiators in the past that, they've got this new one in called Viper, who's supposed to be the modern-day Wolf, and he's just not that good.
Yeah.
He ain't the good. But I do miss Shadow with those scary, roomy eyes. Oh, he was amazing. Wonder what he's doing now. Can we find Shadow? Can we?
Don't, because it'll be depressing. I bet you any money it's depressing.
Do you think he's a shadow of his former self?
Yeah, I do. I don't know why, but I just a dark path.
If you're a shadow within a shadow, are you like a penumbra?
Oh. Well, there's an existential question on a Friday night.
Gaza Suff in London. Great name.
Great name.
Great name. Says, OMG, Alex, I love the way you drink your tea.
You chew it, don't you?
I do. I chew my tea.
Yeah, I know you do.
It's a very important thing. And absolutely love you two on together. That's made my night now. Yeah. Right, we're going to take a break so they don't get too much of us. We need to give them a little bit of respite.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, God.
I love it! That music gets me going. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I've been counting down the days until tomorrow.
No.
Yeah, last weekend, actually,
Yes.
I got, my neighbour Mia came over. She'd never seen Gladiators in her life.
How do you miss it? Like, it's like when people say they've never seen James Bond or an Indiana Jones movie. I'm like,
but, you know,
how?
no,
How is that possible?
Because Mia's sort of in her late 50s, so maybe first time round she wasn't watching it.
Yeah,
So
but
she's
if
too
it's
old for it first time
maybe,
round, and this time round she ain't watching it.
Yeah.
And also my other neighbour, Kenyan Ken. And we were basically there until 2 o'clock in the morning the other night, watching all the back episodes of Gladiators. I actually forced
There's not much to do in the countryside, is there?
There's not, no. We go down the local, get tanked up and watch Gladiators. That's it. That's it.
Wow.
And actually, I've got like quite a sort of tall, narrow Victorian house. I reckon I could sort of set up a travelator, go from my kitchen up to my TV room, like, you know, make it like an adult soft play area.
To go, contender, ready.
The new guy, who everyone knows him from football or something, but I don't know him from anything. But I know him from Gladiators. Mark Clattlework or something.
Oh, right,
Clattlework.
Yeah, because the original
cool.
referee, he passed away, didn't he?
Well, yeah, John Anderson, he was great.
Yeah.
But this new one's quite good. Clattenburg, his mouth goes to one side where he says, "Ready!" and I love it. It's just the best programme.
That's amazing.
It's so good. Chuck wants us to sort of bypass the boring politics for now and go straight onto penis injections.
Yay.
Yeah, Friday night, exactly. Let's get straight onto penis injections, shall we?
Do we? Yeah, let's not say it like that. Phrasing, Alex.
But we'll circle back round to Mandelson's properties getting a good thorough searching.
I feel again.
Where's the BBC helicopter circling above when you want it? That's what I want to know.
I do want to know what they find, and then I don't want to know what they find in that house. If I'm being brutally honest, if you think about it. Because anything could be in those houses. Knowing what
this is it,
like.
Actually. You know, if they're taking away those hard drives to try and see if he's been, you know, giving tip-offs to the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Don't know. You never know what's on a person's hard drive.
Oh, don't say that.
Now, during its 26-year history, the World Anti-Doping Agency has faced thousands of questions about athletes using illicit substances. Anyway, Thursday of this week marked the first time it was asked whether ski jumpers were injecting their penises with hyaluronic acid in order to fly further.
Yes.
So apparently, I think that the sort of here we go. Let's see if we can see the genitals working as a sort of aerodynamic blade in this particular video. Because I think that the thinking is, I don't quite know how this works, but I think the thinking is you could potentially use your enhanced member. That was actually Pete doing that. Oh, look at him go.
Can we not?
But you're using your enhanced member as some sort of extra.
Yeah, you use it as a kind of it's like the rudder of a boat is the best way to describe it, and then you can.
Well, so you can actually change your direction.
Yeah, essentially, you don't ski, you glide. That's how the theory.
I mean,
of it.
I don't want to be.
They are saying that it's just a rumour, that there isn't actually any evidence has been presented.
Hold on, they've now brought in some sort of special crotch scan.
Yeah.
But what if you just happen to be someone who is, you know...
Yeah, those people do exist.
Gifted in that area.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I didn't inject it with anything.
Well,
or I was just, you know...
Yeah, well, I suppose it's only like having a pee test, I suppose, isn't it? Like, is this now what we were going to have to start doing because, well...
But what if there's, you know, a guy who, you know, is part of the alphabet community.
Yes.
And he's going on the old ski lift up to the place, and he happens to be sitting on a ski lift next to Dirk from Norway, who's particularly strapping and handsome in his lycra. And alphabet ski jumper, you know, can't prevent the sort of physical reaction to delighting in sharing the ski lift with Dirk. And then as a result, he manages to jump further than Dirk.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Skiing is not my thing, but I'm just going to say that they've had to bring all of this stuff because of a rumour. This is how mental this story actually is. But I will say, I saw this and I thought, I'm going to be talking about this with Alex. In my head, I was like, this is an inevitability, and yes, this is what I do on a Friday night.
I just want to. I'm not sure aerodynamically it even works.
No, I see. This is where I think it's all nonsense.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't think it
ironically,
works.
it's somewhat of a stretch, but there you go.
Because I'm sort of thinking, it's not really quite the right shape to sort of.
I don't think it's also in the right. Ironically, in the right place.
Maybe it needs to be like towards the back a bit more. Towards the back.
Could you make it more aerodynamic?
An aeroplane or something.
Yeah. What are you doing? Going down like front first?
Maybe we can get like Adrian Newey to model this up in a wind tunnel or something and see.
It'll be a BBC podcast by the end of the day.
But it's kind of completely opposite to the Summer Olympics when that poor pole vaulter
I knew
was about to make a record jump.
Yeah, I should
knocked the blooming bar off, didn't he?
Yeah.
With his wang.
And in a way, I mean, he's really happy about that and really sad at the same time.
Oh, I mean, it is like, I didn't win the Olympic medal, but I'm going to go down in world history forever and a day for not winning the Olympic medal because of the size of my manhood.
Yes. I think, being a man, I think he will probably enjoy the reputation thing more than the gold medal. Because no one was really watching the pole vaulting, are they?
You've got a similar reputation.
Do I?
According to Chuck, yeah.
Well, let's not put that on the airwaves, shall we not?
I've got like a little tickle in my throat.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had a cough all over Christmas and it went. And the last time this came back was recording Grumpy Old Men. I had to have the Heimlich manoeuvre.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
I actually think it's something to do with being in the proximity of Chuck, which makes me want to cough.
Maybe you're just intolerant
Very
to
weird.
him. You just have a Chuck intolerance.
I thought it was Mark Wogan's fluffy jumper, but I actually think like Chuck shed some sort of man dander.
Have you thought it could actually be air conditioning? Yeah, it's probably the air conditioning.
Well, no, but I've sat in here the last 4 days and I was all right. Yeah. But now Chuck's near me. It's like... like an old smoker. We've now got to talk about this very serious...
Yeah, also, just before we move on to the really serious thing, did you not find the irony of you who rages against trans ideology and all the rest of it was playing a man in a... you're a woman playing a man in a TV show called Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah, but I didn't ask to break into the male gladiators changing room now, did I?
I have to admit, I saw it and I thought, there's some irony in this.
I got no... like back in the day, a good old trans, what are they called? The old transvestites,
the drag queens.
Drag queens, thank you. I literally missing that word.
I pointed out that Lily Savage was on daytime... was on like 6 p.m.
Lily
TV.
Savage and that other one, the Mrs...
Dame Edna Everidge.
And the other one?
Mrs. Brad's Boys. No, that's not really a drag queen, but yeah.
No, Mrs... Not Danny LaRue. Mrs...
What, the one where she said to Paul Daniels?
Not Mrs. Doubtfire, but also good. I like this game. Let's name as many transvestites as possible. We need some sort of countdown timer music. No, Mrs...
The one who was very famous, she said, what was it that first attracted you to the multi-billionaire Paul Daniels?
Yeah, who was that?
Mrs. Merton.
Mrs. Merton!
Oh, I'm too good at this game.
That actually was a woman?
Yeah, it was a woman.
She's very Caroline there.
Yeah, Caroline.
Oh, she's not with us anymore?
No, she's not, no.
All right. We didn't ever find out if Shadow is still with us.
Again, I told you, I think it's a dark, dark past.
But then I did come up with a brilliant idea when Chuck was saying, why don't you get gladiators on, they're easy to book, is, if I wanted to speak to Shadow and he was no longer with us, what would Ofcom say about using a clairvoyant to interview deceased celebrities?
Knowing Ofcom now, you're getting a grant.
Exactly. I'm going to bring back
sense left
out place. I want Martin Luther King to comment on the BLM. Protests. So I've got a nice little meeting there. So what was Martin Luther King saying there? Oh, we don't like him. Who'd have thought? Yeah. That would work really well.
It would.
Anyway, have you heard this story? There had to be an evacuation at a French hospital because an unnamed 24-year-old was rushed to the Rangueil Accident and Emergency Unit in Toulouse, in the southwest of the country, because he had a large object up his rectum, which was a World War I artillery shell.
I know.
How does that happen?
Oh, I swear. I want nurses and doctors who work in A&E to write down in some kind of great kind of catalogue all of the excuses people have given us for why certain things are inserted into certain places, because you can't slip and fall that often on these objects.
But I don't get it.
No.
Like, why do you,
I have so many questions. I don't want to know the answer to any of them. If I'm being brutally honest, I don't need to know. However, I will say that when we read that story, we spent at least 20 minutes before we came on trying to come up with headlines for this particular story.
And what did you come up with?
Not repeatable. on air.
Skid missile. See, I came out of that one straight away.
Yeah.
Instead of scud missile. You see what I did there? Skid missile.
Yeah. I love it. Yes, I understand the joke.
I literally came up with that off the hoof. Such is the majesty of my mind. But no, it is just.
Yes, I know.
8 inches long. Apparently, it's just over an inch in circumference. So that's actually not that.
No, it's not. But however, I will say, why did he have the live round? That everyone's obviously where it was inserted is a very interesting bit. However, why does this guy have that?
Why does he have that knocking about the house?
Yeah, exactly.
He's a 24-year-old. What are you doing with World War I artillery?
Yeah,
And then what are you doing putting it in your bummy?
I have no doubt that it will be Andrew Tate's fault.
Hold on, there is a possibility, though, given the shape of it, he might have thought...
Yes.
Quite plausibly, maybe he's very short-sighted, and he might have thought...
he's very something.
He might have thought it was his suppository, because the French put paracetamol up their bums.
Yeah.
They do, they love that.
And that's why the English Channel exists.
But, apparently it's a good way of getting things into the bloodstream rapidly.
Yeah, it is, because of the capillaries and everything. Yeah.
So, try it at home.
Yeah, it's
but
why...
not with missiles, with paracetamol, if you will. But be careful.
In America, in frats during the 90s, there was a big kind of spate of people pouring alcohol up their... into their rectums, and they're going straight to the hospital because of how dangerous it is, because it basically hits your bloodstream straight away.
So this is not the first time this has happened.
Oh, good God.
In 2022, doctors were left shell-shocked.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
After an 88-year-old Frenchman arrived at hospital with a World War I bomb stuck in his bottom. That's been too long.
Yeah.
Not in 2 years. Why do the French put weapons up their bums?
Yeah. And yet, why do they have them? Where are they getting them from? Who's selling them?
Is this why they make bread in that shape, baguette shape?
Maybe.
Because they're
it's
like,
a very phallic nation.
We couldn't get the pan rustique up there, so we're going to have to sort of,
Yeah, Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Is everything in French designed to go up one's rectum?
Well, they do say, everything's a dildo if you're brave enough. Well, then there you go.
Not too late, but I suppose that makes sense, actually.
Yeah, pretty much.
It really is.
Yeah.
I'm questioning a lot of French things now.
This is why the English Channel exists.
I love those French.
Yes, I do, because, we get to talk about this on a Friday night.
Also, but, if they ever host the Olympics again, they'll be inviting that 24-year-old to do that particular routine on the stage of the opening ceremony.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely getting a
That was a weird thing, wasn't it? That opening ceremony in Paris.
They've got a BBC podcast by now.
I think Mrs. Merton was in it. Right, we're going to take a short break now. Don't go anywhere, because we're back straight after.
On the point about who will lead. I mean, you need a leader who will appeal to the country, not just someone who appeals to the Labour Party. I completely accept the argument that you can't just have someone who indulges the wishes of the Labour Party. You need someone who's going to appeal to the country. For me, I think the only person who comes near that is Shabana Mahmood. And if it ever came to a leadership election, I would like to see her stand.
Well, she'd be the best of a bad lot in my view. I think she's unfortunately too right-wing for that electorate, Paul Embry.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh my goodness, some of these messages are just brilliant. I've just starred a few for myself. Right. We're going to get stuck into those, but let's have a voice message, shall we? A voicey. Oh, this is Mariana.
Evening, Alex. Anna, sorry. So, weird Pakistani cousin fact. So, whilst Pakistanis make up less than 1.5% of the British population, a third of all children born with various disorders are from first cousin Pakistani marriages. And another strange fact, in a lot of areas of Pakistan, you can reserve your cousin to marry her the day of her birth. Wonderful. The importation of all these delightful traditions. I can't wait for more. Thank you.
Yes.
Ever been to Pakistan?
No, surprisingly, as a gay man, no.
No. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of you there, mate.
Oh, yeah,
there's a lot of you there.
There is, yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you. And actually, do you know what? Pakistan is one place where the whole trans thing is massive.
Oh, yes. Isn't there a thing...
Hijwas.
Yes, in Pakistan, you can send transgender people to kind of harass you if you owe somebody money. It's kind of, it's like, it's a thing. Yeah. So if somebody owes you money, you kind of get this like flash mob to set up, and it's usually transgender people because of the embarrassment of it and all the rest of it.
Yeah, that idea.
So there's a fun fact for you.
That's really good. So if I owed someone money, they could sort of like, I don't know, send someone like David Lammy to my house and get a photo taken of me and Lammy. Yeah,
that kind of thing. Like just to kind of follow you around as a kind of, you owe somebody money, and it's the kind of thing that everybody knows about it. So it's to kind of like kind of shame you.
I'll tell you what, my experience, I worked in Pakistan. I've been over there a couple of times, and both times I got very, very poorly.
Oh.
Very poorly. I mean, all I can say is a World War II missile would not have survived. It was a...
blast zone.
It was a challenge. It was a challenge. Let's do a few messages now, because there's some good ones here. Here we are. Blimmin' heck. Hi, Alex. You wanted... I don't agree with this random fact, but let's have it anyway. You wanted a random fact. Regarding the virgin birth in the Bible, virgin is incorrectly translated in Isaiah 7:14. It should read maiden or young woman. So in other words, it was never a miracle virgin birth, just a birth outside wedlock. I'm not sure that's true. I think the whole point was it was the miracle virgin birth.
It's a bit transubstantiation, isn't it? Because that's the bit
where...
the
Holy Ghost.
Yeah, that's the bit, the belief bit of it.
Yeah, the Holy Ghost got down there.
If that is true, then it kind of defeats the entire point of the religion.
That would be one of my very top interview subjects, the Holy Ghost.
Would it?
Yeah. Hi, HG. How you doing, son?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Alex, I love listening to your shows. I'm a retired school bus driver, and you take me back to the conversations I overheard from the loud girl who insisted on sitting near the driver.
I have to admit...
Does that mean you,
I'm not sure
Claire,
if that's
the loud girl who insisted on sitting near you?
Yeah, do you think that was a compliment?
And also, the loud one's normally at the back.
True, yeah.
Alex, Apollo, seriously? I think he's had a hair transplant. Steel all the way, says Sally.
Ooh.
Steel's all right. He's got a nice, pleasant face. Alex, when the BBC is good, Gladiators is the best show on TV. I like Legend, says Ian. See, you're missing out now. You're going to have to go home and watch it because, you know, you've got to get into all of this.
Thanks for my weekend plans.
It's a keel cod piece, Alex.
Oh.
That must be related to
the skiing thing.
The penis skiing things. Gary in Glasgow said, you just made me spit out my drink when you said use your penis like a rudder on a boat.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I feel like that's going to be in the bloopers of the greatest hits moment.
Claire in Buckley, North Wales, by the way, who is the #1 fan of Weird Hour.
Yes.
And I think this is just like Weird Friday, isn't it? Freaky Friday. But she is the #1 fan of Weird Hour. She says, hey, Alex, #1 fan of Weird Hour
there
here.
You go.
See, she knows. She knows it about herself. With my bucket of wine. Yes,
a bucket.
Girl.
I approve a bucket.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we should, do you know, Claire, we need to increase that to a Bowser.
Yes.
You've achieved the bucket, we're now Bowser. Hope you're back next week. I am for the next 2 weeks. The thought of searching Randy Mandy's house gives me the ick. The gimp scene from Pulp Fiction springs to mind.
I completely agree. I said the same thing this afternoon. When I saw that story, my mind went straight to that.
What is the gimp scene in
Well,
I've
basically,
not seen Pulp Fiction.
how have you never seen Pulp Fiction?
I don't watch films.
There is this, they call a drone, but like there's a person in a gimp suit and he escapes from being held. Yes, yeah, that's the name of a person in a gimp suit in that world. It's called a drone because they're just lifeless.
Like a bee,
they're not a person, basically. So it's like automaton.
This is so
yeah,
confusing.
it's weird. But basically, they escape, and my brain went to that exact scene from Pulp Fiction where like they just open the door and they all make a run for it. They're like, oh, freedom! Yes, that was literally where my brain went.
Alison says if skiers using hyaluronic acid on their penis, the skin is going to look better than it does on their face.
Yes, because it tightens. Isn't that the point?
No, it puts an extra layer of moisture underneath.
Yeah.
It's like a filler.
Yeah, but I've got to say, it's the same thing that's in a lot of face creams and stuff.
Well, no, I mean, if you're a ski jumper, your face probably does also tighten because it's like that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Yeah. You look like Cher.
A bit like Cher. It's a free temporary facelift. Shall we squeeze in a call? Let's have Georgina in London. Hi, Georgina.
Hello, my darling. I was listening to you when you started the show and you were singing from The Sound of Music, and that's one of my favourite musicals.
Same here.
So I've written a few little lyrics to go with the music. Can I sing it for you?
Always. Let's turn this one up in my ear.
Okay.
You go, girl. Hold on. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Hit it.
Starmer is crying 'cause he'll soon be going. Will Rainer be PM? There's no way of knowing. Blair's staying quiet, but he's pulling the strings. These are a few of my most hated things. When the bills come, when the frost bites, when each day looks bad. I think there's no labour, my money's my own, and then I don't feel so sad.
Oh.
Bravo.
We'd love to hear it. Georgina.
Amazing.
That's Georgina's singing debut.
That is amazing.
I loved it.
Also, that was very impressive considering you've not had a lot of time to do it either.
I know, that was
actually
very
amazing.
extremely well put together. It's almost as good as when I actually changed the lyrics to the King Louis song in Jungle Book to discuss Dean getting everyone drunk.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, and I'm the king of the drinkers. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to... There was a lot of non-Ofcom compliant lyrics in my version.
Yes.
Georgina, my darling, thank you ever so much. Let's squeeze in Nick in Nottingham. Hi, Nick.
Hello, Alex. I'm a bit of a fan. You're a bit tangential, a bit elliptical, but you can be quite funny.
A tangential and elliptical. Well, I'm geometric in my...
Yes. I want to correct you about penises.
OK, well, you know, I don't own one, believe it or not, so I'm not the world expert in them. I've encountered a limited number in my life, but I've never had the privilege of being in full-time possession of one, so do please enlighten me.
You appear to be an expert. The gentleman whose penis caught the top bar in the pole vault was deeply embarrassed.
Oh, so actually this wasn't about penis facts, this was more about pole vaulting.
No, everyone joked about it, mainly women. He was actually deeply embarrassed about it. It wasn't funny. He wasn't proud. And if that had been a woman's breast who had touched that pole, no one would have dared jokes about it. So
well, I don't know. There would have been some quiet jokes. Yeah. But it was a look, we all saw it, didn't we? It was there. We had the close-up because they do that zoom in. Is he going to touch the pole? And we all saw it. And we all thought
I can kind of understand that,
while
to
we
be
watched
fair,
the replay, we all heard a boing in our heads, didn't we?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, the internet wasn't his
friend.
Yeah,
the internal sound effects of the mind. Yeah, and of course, all the memes.
Yeah.
But
it is a big fear of mine becoming a meme. If you think about it, you could, but also, but being
I
a bad,
I do pop up as a meme sometimes. There are people out there who meme me up. Yeah, every now and then. I'm not yet at the level that I'd make more than 50 pence on Cameo.
Oh, right.
I don't reckon.
No.
But
not at Nigel's level.
That's the dream, actually. The dream is to just sit at home having multiple free-fingered gins and recording things on my phone and becoming a millionaire. Oh, right, what would I do on OnlyFans? Do a cryptic crossword?
Ofcom.
Sexy politics. Yeah.
Here's a cryptic crossword.
I did once have one of the guys who first set up OnlyFans contact me about putting my feet on OnlyFans.
Yes.
True fact.
Yeah, the problem is...
I have got good feet.
Yeah, it's the extreme economy, though. You now have to be so out there to make any amount of money.
Well, you know, at this point, to make money, that's probably what that guy was doing in France.
Maybe.
Let's be fair. He was probably on OnlyFans going like, right, how much are you going to pay me to put this where the sun don't shine?
Yeah. I also love how it was kind of originally started for, like, performers to show off their tricks and, like, things, you know, like circus performers and things like that. And this is what it turned into.
Yeah, it was sort of like a video version of Substack. And now it's just like, this is what humans do.
Yes.
They're disgusting.
Well, is it Rule 8 or something? If you can think of it, there's a sex version of it.
I found a really good limerick on first cousin marriage, Chuck.
I feel like that's something.
I love it. Chuck is so permissive. He allows everything. It says, I can't really marry my daughter, and perhaps I shouldn't really oughter, but I could marry a cousin because I got a choice of a dozen, and I'm sure that the family will sort her. Oh, that's quite cleverly written.
Yeah, so I like that.
That's very good.
Yes, I do.
It is factual. It was clever. The scansion, I think, at times was a little bit off, but otherwise, I quite liked it. This is so dangerous to read your own messages live.
Yes. Yeah.
Gosh, I can't look at it. It's bad things are going to happen if I do this. I'm just going to have to do it during advert breaks. But yeah, we'll read some out after the news.
Yeah.
That's a very good... Wow, 1 hour's already done.
That has flown.
Talk about the news. We've barely spoken about any of it.
About anything.
Oh, well, they have a bulletin at the top of the hour, don't they? You've heard it all day. It's just recycling at this point. Yeah. Anyway, watch some ads. It pays my wages, and we're back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to the show. Loads of messages coming in. I've got some shadow information.
Oh.
Yeah. Because he's basically been shadow banned.
Oh.
No, he's now a personal fitness trainer, and before that... but I did find someone else has sent me what looks like a newspaper article saying a shadow from Gladiators jailed for more than 6 years for drug debt violence.
Yeah, I'd see. Yeah, I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, he's got himself into a spot of bother.
Just
it
a tad,
seems.
yeah.
I think it's right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the BBC again, shall we? And the fact that the licence fee is going up to basically the same price as Netflix now.
Yeah.
And Netflix, you pay for lots of awesome content, which
also,
you can
have
watch
the choice
at your
of paying
leisure,
for it.
and you have the choice.
Yeah.
You don't get arrested if you don't want to have Netflix.
Exactly.
Quite frankly, which I must admit, I don't really watch much on Netflix.
No, I don't really watch much these days. I think I got over-contented. Do you know, there was at one point there was so much,
too much,
and then it's one of these things where everything is all interconnected. So if you miss one bit of one series, the rest of everything else connected, it doesn't make sense.
No.
And I'm like, I'm busy. I don't have time.
I'm too busy for TV.
But we were literally just saying before we came on air that we don't do anything either. We don't have a social life.
I literally don't. I just news.
Yeah,
is
literally
all I do.
just news.
But anyway, we've got a guest.
Oh,
we do indeed. He's not ready yet.
Oh,
he's not ready yet. He's got a few technical issues. So there you go. Should we do some more meta? It's really dangerous playing.
Also, just thinking of the BBC and haven't they just done a deal with YouTube as well? So they're getting rid of iPlayer, aren't they?
They?
Yes, I vaguely remember reading about something about this. And basically, they've done this kind of partnership deal where all of the content is going to move to YouTube. Which I don't know. I don't really understand how they're going to do that. But I do remember that.
But how would that? Why?
Yes.
iPlay's the only good thing about the BBC.
So iPlayer is fascinating because it was the first kind of online platform for television shows. It was massive, and yet they just under kind of resourced it, and it could have been huge. iPlayer, it really could have been, and like as per usual, the BBC ruined it.
I mean, why would you? The only good thing about BBC is that iPlayer, because you can go back and watch some interesting stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
That
most
seems
of the good
modern
stuff they don't put
sensible.
on because it's all too offensive. So yeah, everything's got a trigger warning these days.
We got a caller.
Oh, go on.
I don't know if I've spoken to this caller before because I don't recognise the name, but this is exciting. This is Nev.
Oh.
Hi, Nev.
Good evening, Alex. No, it's my first time talking to you.
Yeah, I thought so. I always remember a name. Me. How you doing?
I'm grand, thanks. Grand. I'd just like to discuss with you car tax. Not the most exciting subject, I know.
Well, do you know what? Let's crack open that little convo, shall we? Car tax.
Right.
What's your beef with car tax?
Well, I'll start with my opening gambit. I drive an old banger, and the car tax from the 1st of April for it has gone up by 500%.
Why?
I presume it's in Mr. Mad Miliband's desperate.
Oh, because it sort of uses naughty fuels and doesn't have catalytic converters and stuff like that, or some sort of.
Well, yeah, it'll be something like that.
Oh.
So my 30s. I mean, it's an old car. It's not ancient.
What is it?
It's 13-year-old. It's a Vauxhall Zafira. They're very commonplace cars.
See, this is where you have the problem, Nev, because if you actually went for a genuinely very old car, they're actually tax exempt.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
If you got a classic, you won't be paying any tax.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that doesn't help me get to work. You see, it's gone up from £265 a year to £1,360.
Whoa!
That's astonishing.
That's a mean little increase.
Like this is the thing with this government.
That's wild.
Yeah, is these small little changes that have a big impact on your kind of disposable income. Like it's absolutely astonishing.
I can't call that a small change.
That's a massive change.
Yeah,
that is
huge.
Wild.
It's huge.
So what are you going to do? You're going to pay it, or are you like, if you actually sold your car, if it's like a 13-year-old Vauxhall Zafira, you probably sell it, you'll get as much as your car tax, mate.
The car tax is worth more than what the car is.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think you need to change your car, Nev.
Well, who would buy the car?
Yeah, can't sell it, can I?
Yeah, you can't sell it because of the insurance, the price of the tax. Yeah. It's like all these people who are trapped about trying to sell homes at the minute.
I love the fact we're turning into Top Gun. I love that. This is my comfort zone. Yeah, cars make the favourites list. What's your favourite? Nev, what's your favourite car? If you could have any car.
Oh, I'm actually quite a simple fella. Actually, I just like a transit van and just cruise around in that and convert it into a camper van.
Oh,
that's quite good. Do you know, if I were to convert something into a camper van, I would convert a Unimog.
What on earth is... I feel like a...
There are people who do this. A Unimog is like some sort of, you know, former Soviet or German or something, giant water, massive wheels. I don't even know really what it is.
Right.
It's kind of looks like a monster truck, but like a military monster truck from some sort of hostile state, basically.
Yes, right.
Which some people do convert these into... And I'm like, oh, my God.
Oh, no.
I was going to say my ideal car would be an Austin Healey Frog Eye Spike. Because they're beautiful. They're made. They're just the best cars. They've got a face.
Oh, right.
And cars need to have a face, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, actually, no, forget that. I just want a monster truck. Can you imagine?
I can just imagine you in a monster truck.
coming down the country road. Like, never mind me.
No, I just imagine you back in Gloucestershire, like, you know, literally just kind of goes around those wheelie roads.
If I had a monster truck, I would actually drive to work and I would plot a straight line from my house to the door of News UK and just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No motorways, just straight through the fields.
Just Ed Miliband crying as you do it.
Yeah. Have you ever been to one of those monster trucks?
No, I don't drive, so I've no interest in cars.
But you, what?
But I'm literally no interest in... No.
You don't even have an interest in a giant car destroying and crushing other cars?
No, it's never interested in me at all. And I never understood it. I never understood why, but each their own, but no.
Do you know, I'm the bigger boy in this room, aren't I?
Yeah, I mean, that was already pre-given.
You've got pink and I like the military jets and monster trucks, and you're sitting there going, I don't like cars in your
welcome to 2026.
Pink silky trousers. Let's have a voice note from Bob, shall we?
There once was a PM named Keir, who wasn't much liked around here. Pensioners, farmers, our armed forces too, were screwed by this fiend. They'd have nothing to do with this Trotskyite traitor, this weasel, this grub. Now our landlords and innkeepers shout, "Get out of my pub!" Now Mandy exposed, not just in his briefs, but in his traitorous deeds with pedos and thieves. You're soon to be leaving the post of PM. Your party diminished. You're finished. Amen.
No. Yes. I get that. Yeah.
I can't wait for that to be read out on in the Globe.
Yes,
Theatre.
I have such a sneaky suspicion that he's not going anywhere. I have a real suspicion he's not going anywhere because it's Keir Starmer. So many things should have taken this man down.
I don't think he'll go anywhere necessarily, but this is going to sound wild. I've now come to the conclusion I don't actually want him to.
Because of what's coming after?
Well, I can't make up my mind. If you get rid of Starmer, then you actually get rid of those creepy barristers who run the country.
True.
Who aren't elected, and I'm like, I don't care for that. I find that quite like these people aren't accountable.
Yes.
Yeah. But then the idea of Angela Rayner or David Lammy or something as our Prime Minister is like, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, the joke would be funny for the first day, and then we'd all be like...
See, this is the thing. Everyone keeps saying that the Labour Party coming out today saying this might cause a general election, and they're saying, like, oh, he's trying to scare people. It's working because it could. I mean, theoretically, it's not out of the realms of possibility because Angela Rayner would probably be a catastrophic idea, and therefore the government would collapse, and we would have a general election.
Yeah, but what would be the function of that? Would Sir Keir Starmer say, I will resign, but I'm calling a general election first?
No,
you've all got to vote for the general election, or I won't resign.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't knowing Keir Starmer, he probably would do that.
Yeah.
Although he would be told to do that because he's not that smart.
By the creepy barristers. The creepy barristers would be coming up with a creepy barristerial way of doing things.
Because this is the thing. So many things should have taken this Prime Minister down, and yet he's still there. So this idea that this is the thing that brings him down, I just don't see it.
Took care of Boris, but old Keir, nothing yet.
Yeah.
Right. Our guest is now with us. It's Roger Bolton, who's a former BBC executive. Roger, welcome to the programme. I mean, the BBC aren't helping out their situation, are they? Everyone's saying, come on, things are costing too much. They've, screeched from one scandal to the next with the editing of the Trump footage, both by Newsnight and another programme. We've had, the list goes on and on, doesn't it? Bob Villan, Hugh Edwards. And then they've decided to put up the licence fee. Why can't they just cut a few of their channels?
Well, hello.
Hi, Roger.
Thank you for the objective introduction. Well, you point out the BBC doesn't raise the licence fee, the government does. And, sorry, it's a light problem, the government does. Secondly, until now, the BBC licence fee has been frozen. And the value of the licence fee over the last 15 years has been reduced by about 30% in real terms. So actually what you're getting is a very small increase while there's a debate going on about the Charter. And it costs you about a coffee a week. And what you get for that is not just television. You get all the radio channels. You get the World Service largely. You get BBC. You get CBBS. You get a whole range of educational things as well. So it's called a television license, but it pays for so much more. So actually, I think it's a very good value.
But the problem is, of course, you know, we now live in a world where there is so much choice and people can opt to pay for the content that they want to receive. But the BBC licence fee is applied uniformly if you have a TV and want to watch any live television on it. And I was just saying earlier on, I think in the last month I've watched the BBC for 4 hours only, which are the 4 episodes of Gladiators, and that's it.
Well, of course that's true, but of course it's like generally if you pay taxation, you pay for lots of things you don't particularly want because you're paying also for things that you do want, and it's much cheaper if everybody pays for it. But I agree with you, there's a problem with the licence fee in the sense that everybody has to pay it, and it's regressive, i.e., you know, if you're rich or you're poor, you pay the same amount. The trouble is, all the alternatives are pretty rotten. For example, advertising. Well, if the BBC took advertising, you would be out of business. If you look at subscription, because you get all the advertising. If you look at subscription, there are about 5 million people in this country who are not online. You don't want a tax from government. So at the moment, I mean, there's plenty wrong with the licence fee, but the alternatives are worse. What the discussion should be about is, do we want public intervention, public service broadcasting in any form? If it is, what do we want and how do we pay for it?
This is really interesting, actually, because I might surprise you here, Roger. I am not a sort of scrap the licence fee monger. You will be surprised to know most of my cohort are. I might also surprise you, given I'm such a right-wing gob on legs, that I was actually part of the BBC VIP talent pool programme when it first launched. I worked at the BBC. I was handpicked to be sort of advanced through to a glittering career, and I lasted 6 months because I actually found it, well, very left-wing, if I'm honest, and realised I just didn't feel at home there. But I've never been for absolutely abolishing the licence fee, because I do agree with you. Having worked internationally as well, I think the World Service is vital, and I think public service broadcasting is vital when there's proper impartiality, which, you know, I'll eat my hat the day I see that happen at the BBC. But I've got an idea for this, and I want to run it past you, which is I've always thought the BBC needs to get rid of some of the stuff, OK? It doesn't need 4 television channels, OK? It can have 2. Like BBC One, BBC Two, 3 and 4, off your jog. I just think this is sort of, you know, ridiculous in times when people have to tighten their belts. I also think when I look at some of the bespoke content being made for BBC Sounds, particularly in the world of podcasting, get out of our lane. You know, that's an independence thing, podcasting. When people want to make it big in the world of podcasting, you know, they have to spend their own money, buy a microphone, set up their own little studio and have a go. And you've got all these super rich people being paid by the BBC to make podcasts. I'm like, they could do it themselves. But what I do think...
Hold on. Yeah. Interesting rant. It's an interesting rant, isn't it? But, of course, there's a very, very prosperous and effective podcast world out there, regardless of the BBC. What you've got in the BBC are a lot of programmes that, for example, it has, say, podcast, 15 minutes of broadcast, and then if you go to them, you can get another half an hour. It costs no more money. Radio is extraordinarily cheap, by the way. Okay, tell the BBC, I think there's a good, you know, the BBC Charter debate ought to be one in which we say, OK, BBC, we want you to do this, but we don't want you to do that.
Right, this
but
brings me...
actually, what you're suggesting at the moment, that doesn't, to me, make any significant difference. When you're talking about 4 television channels, effectively now, the BBC has got 2 channels, BBC One and BBC Two, and then the rest is paid for, is actually reruns of previous things because they don't have enough money.
Yeah, but
anyway,
you have to pay.
Let's have a debate. This is the cost of a coffee a week.
No, but hold on. With these extra BBC channels, you have to pay about £1 million just to be listed in the TV guide on linear television, OK? So I understand that. So, you know, you saved £1 million, £2 million just by getting rid of 3 and 4, quite frankly. But my argument was going to be this. There should be no taxation without representation. I firmly believe that. And I think if the BBC wants to maintain a licence fee, first of all, I think it should be said by a future government this is going to be the range you've got to operate in. So you've got to figure out, in these more confined financial limits, what you keep and what you don't, what you can afford to splurge on and what you can't. And I think the future Directors General candidates should actually be able to demonstrate some sort of a manifesto that licence fee payers can then pick out of. You know, I don't want a BBC that's paying Gary's not gone now, but Gary Lineker 10 million quid a year. I want that BBC instead to, you know, save its money. I don't want all these sort of, you know, X, Y,
well,
Z.
Hold on. You're talking as if the BBC isn't accountable. Time and again.
It's not.
Listen, please let me say something. Time and again, the BBC and the staff are pulled up in front of Parliament to select committees and are scrutinised and are given the third degree. And if you switch on the television, parliamentary television, you watch it. You know, in the end, a licence fee increase is voted for by Parliament. It's Parliament that decides also what the BBC should do. The debate on the Charter will decide what the BBC does. Now, I agree with you. In my view, the public doesn't have enough say in what the BBC does. But for you to suggest the BBC isn't accountable, just watch them be
I know what I said.
I
didn't say the BBC wasn't accountable. You're putting words into my mouth. Oh, the BBC love doing that, don't they? Forgot that. But no, what I said is I firmly believe there should be no taxation without representation, and so I think a model by which the future Director General candidates can actually put forward to the public what they would spend the licence fee on, then licence fee payers can say, well, out of all of these options, this is what I want. That to me seems, a manifesto would be a great thing if you're going to tax someone.
I agree with you that the BBC ought to consult more fully with the public. I think the government should take the lead on this. But on the question of taxation without representation, it's decided, the licence fee is decided by Parliament. Parliament is made of people you elect. You've got taxation, but you've got representation as well.
Okay, I don't think you can say that the contents of the BBC, because Parliament's decided what level the licence fee should be, means the public are getting to choose. I think that is particularly tenuous.
Hold on. The BBC does a right to exist. It depends on Parliament saying, here's your charter. It's debating at the moment whether it should have a charter or not and what it should be. What the BBC, the money it gets and the resources it gets through the licence fee is decided by Parliament. Now, you may not like that, but that's not representation.
I'm very, very aware of this. As somebody who's been in broadcasting, who's worked at the BBC, who's been an elected politician, reports on politics on a daily basis, I know exactly how the system functions. And believe you me, if I become the next culture secretary, which isn't beyond the world's wildest dreams, the BBC might be facing a little bit more trouble than it does at present. Because also I've had the privilege, if you want to call it that.
What you're saying is incorrect about the BBC not this being taxation without representation. On the separate question, I agree with you. We need a proper debate now about what the BBC should do. And people like you and your listeners and others should be able to contribute and to say, we do want this, we do want that. We don't want that. But let's have a proper debate on what the BBC does. And it isn't just television. As I say, it's radio. It's local radio. It's regional. And also, you've got to ask, do you want to go into a situation like the United States, where all you have is a cacophony of prejudiced broadcasting by people who don't attempt to be balanced, but attempt to tell you what you should think, and usually tell you there's a plot against you. And we, if you believe in us, will tell you the truth.
Well, what I would say is that having had experience, of working inside the BBC, having had experience of working inside ITV, having had experience of working at GB News, having had experience of working here, having had experience of working in television over in Africa, having had experience of working for various newspapers, having had a lot of experience when it comes to journalism and partiality, my personal experience working at the BBC, and the reason I quit the BBC was because the level of partiality was so much that I found it utterly impossible to work there. It was just off the charts ridiculous.
That may say something about you as much as it says something about the BBC.
Hold on. Let me, do you want to hear my example?
Alex, let me reply. You've been going on. You're a person of very strong views, and I'm delighted you've got this opportunity on Talk to say what you think. But the BBC is about something different.
Okay, I know that. Can you stop? Okay, if you can listen, then you might understand. I'm surprised that you're not interested. Why? What's my experiences were that I found the BBC so egregiously partisan. I can share them with you if you'd like. You're
putting words into my mouth. Of course I'm interested in your experience.
So,
hold But what I'm saying is, you obviously feel at home on the network you're on. I'm delighted you're there, but you're there partly because you have very strong views from a particular direction, and you want the opportunity to express them. That's not what you do if you work for the BBC.
No, I'm well aware of that because I worked
there. The
BBC
wasn't the right place for you, Alex.
Right,
this is.
Okay, do you know what? I can give you a potted history of how I found my career to be and the time I worked for the BBC and why I left it, or you can do it, because clearly you're the expert.
No,
you seem to be, oh, that's right, the BBC do like to splice people's sentences together to make new stories. I forgot that. I can explain to you.
Alex, come on. This is silly.
That's not silly. That's far from silly.
Is silly.
No. That incident was far from silly, wasn't it?
Can I say something, Alex? There's no excuse for the editing that the BBC did of Trump's speech. Let's agree about that. But for you then to say that that is typical or representative is simply, in my view, wrong.
Okay.
You can't take one example and generalize in the way you do.
Right, so let me explain to you my experience of when I worked at the BBC, because I had come out of journalism school and I had no intention of being political about anything, quite frankly. And I had gone to work for ITV and I loved it. I thought the ITV regional newsrooms were utterly fantastic and run extremely creatively on far fewer resources. And I didn't get any sense of anything being partisan one way or the other. I then go and work at the BBC, and I remember sitting in an editorial meeting, and like I said, I've actually become a lot more political over the course of the last 20 years. Sitting in an editorial meeting, and I've got plenty of examples of this happening, plenty. In fact, you walked to the BBC canteen, and there was a stand with nothing but The Guardian that you could pick up and take for free. So first of all, there's a problem. But no, I remember sitting in a meeting, and we were talking about it being the year anniversary since the first 7 accession nations of the EU were given the right to freedom of movement in the UK. And people were sitting there going, OK, so how do we do treatment on this story? And I came up with the idea that it'd be interesting to go to a classroom in this particular city I was living in and find out about how teachers are coping with multiple different languages, because a lot of the children of these migrants couldn't speak English. No, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's the sort of thing that, you know,
Alex,
the BNP Light would do, like
Alex,
UKIP.
come on. Alex, come on.
That happened.
Alex, do a bit of journalism. What you're doing here is you're taking an example, and let's assume you're right. One person.
I am right. It's happened.
Hold on. Of your case and generalising and saying the whole of the BBC is like that. Let me give you an example. Let you give you an example. You know, when you get the Prime Minister, Theresa May's spokesperson, and Boris Johnson's spokesperson all came from the BBC. They all came from this left-wing organisation. Oh yeah?
Yeah, no, I know that. In fact, you'll be delighted. You'll be delighted to know that Sir Robbie Gibb is an extremely good friend of mine. So I'm well aware that he's now on the BBC board, and I think he probably shared some of my views of the frustration with which.
And look, as a journalist, when you went to journalist college, surely they told you. Don't just look for examples that support your prejudice. Look for the examples that challenge it. What you're doing there is to take one example from your personal experience, which happens to satisfy
I can actually provide
and
you.
not providing any other sensible evidence.
I can provide you multiple examples of when the BBC have quite clearly been partisan, and I worked in multiple BBC newsrooms across multiple programming, sat in multiple meetings, and so I got trained at your studios in Elstree, internal BBC training. So I know full well that the incident I gave you, because I'm not going to sit here and talk about it for 2 hours, because we're only on air for another 34 minutes. The one example I gave you was one in a litany of examples where the prejudice was absolutely soaking the newsroom and the organisation.
Anyway, the other thing you've got to distinguish as well is people have lots of different views. What matters is what they do in their professional jobs and on air. And just look at the World Service and the way it's respected. Look at Steve Rosenberg in Moscow, the only correspondent in Moscow, what he's trying to do all the time. Just superb work. Are you telling me he's biased in some way?
No, I did not say that. In fact, if you were to engage back with the start of our conversation, I said, having worked for multiple places in multiple countries abroad, I really value the World Service. Again, when it functions correctly, because I've done election campaigns abroad and there's bias within some of your outposts as well, and particular concerns have been raised against BBC Arabia. We haven't got any more time, unfortunately, Roger, because it's a very interesting conversation. I'm not cutting you off for any other reason than and I've got to take an advert break because that's what pays my wages, unlike the licence fee. But thank you ever so much for joining us and having quite a lively discussion about the BBC. I would say this, though, not so much in defence of the BBC, but in terms of it being what feels like a partisan newsroom, that isn't necessarily exclusively a BBC problem. This is part of the professionalisation of journalism. It's it's the universityisation, if you will, of people all going to very similar universities. Universities becoming increasingly more left-wing. It's a bit like if you went to work in advertising or something. Most of those people probably love a bit of socialism. Yeah, definitely. Or if you go work in an art gallery, there's an element here that the media attracts.
Yeah, it's called embourgeoisement.
Because also, when you look at some of the journalists who we consider the sort of, for me, salt of the earth, people like Rod Liddell, let's say, he started off as an actual proper working class hack. He didn't have to go to a university.
Yes, this is a huge problem. And it all starts at on university campuses, which is why it's so important that we actually have free speech there and we encourage diverse opinions on university campuses, because they take the views into the workplace, and that is why everything's woke at the minute. That's literally why
that is how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, it's the tool of every tyrant ever. Attack the youth, attack the universities, and eventually your ideology gets spread into the mainstream. Yeah, there you go.
Not here, though. Right, we're going to take a short break now, but don't you go anywhere, because there's so much more to come.
On the point about who will lead, I mean, you need a leader who will appeal to the country, not just someone who appeals to the Labour Party. I completely accept the argument that you can't just have someone who indulges the wishes of the Labour Party. You need someone who's going to appeal to the country. For me, I think the only person who comes near that is Shabana Mahmood. And if it ever came to a leadership election, I would like to see her stand.
Well, she'd be the best of a bad lot in my view. I think she's unfortunately too right-wing for that electorate, Paul Embry.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. Now, do stay tuned, because coming up is a splendiferous, newly minted episode of Plank of the Week, and this is what you can look forward to.
I don't think I need to say anything, except no one is illegal on stolen land. What do you mean my house is on stolen land? You're not having my f***ing house, I'll tell you that. You can stick your f***ing too.
That was quite disturbing.
It was. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think people need to talk to Kev.
Yeah, I mean, that was supposed to be Billie Eilish, but visually, I'm not sure what it was.
Is Kev okay?
It looks like, it actually looks like something. Janet Street Porter.
Oh, it does look like Janet Street Porter. My God. Yes.
Poor Janet Street Porter.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, that is a familiar looking face.
Yeah, I have to admit, that's the first time I've seen that clip, and I will say it's Janet Street Porter.
We can do my favourite things now. Okay, but I've got my list. I'm just going to have to freestyle off the top of my head. Yeah. I mean, I got them off the top of my head when I wrote it yesterday. But you can stay tuned for Alex's favourite things. Someone's just sent a message just saying Alex Phillips.
Lovely.
That feels kind of meta.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, I can see that. That's definitely going on a T-shirt.
But actually, it is sort of different messages from Beth and Tony, and it says Beth and Tony, massive fans. We want you to run for president of what?
Of what? Yeah.
Because we don't have a president of the UK. So president where?
Yeah.
In fact, can I pick where?
Oh, that
would be fun.
Yeah.
Where would you pick?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good game. That's a good game.
I could actually dredge back up my inspired policy that we need to go over to the Canary Islands and seize them.
Why?
Because they're good and they should be British.
They're not that great, though.
They are. I love them.
Really?
And I want to turn, like Lanzarote, into Brexit headquarters island.
That's Gibraltar. That's what going on Gibraltar, surely.
That's not as good as the Canary Islands are better than Gibralter.
But Lanzarote is called Lanzarote.
Let's go and steal the Canary Islands. You know, we beat. Yeah, but which island is better? Lanzarote, obviously, is the best one.
Well, it's Lanzarote, Fuerteventura, and...
There's loads.
There's only 3, isn't there?
No, because you've got Gran Canaria, you've got Tenerife, you've got
Tenerife, that's
Palma, which exploded.
Oh,
You've got one that sounds like gonorrhea.
Oh, I'm thinking of the other one, the Balearics. I'm thinking of the Balearics.
Yeah,
there's 3 of
the
those.
Canaries are good.
Yeah, I've been to Lanzarote. Yeah.
I think don't you like my... Aren't you going to support my idea?
I'll always support your ideas. I will never not necessarily agree with them.
Turning it into the independent republic of Brexit Island.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking you could have a bigger one. Like a bigger island.
I don't want a bigger one. Because then you start getting rubbish people.
True.
And do you know what my one rule of Brexit Island will be? Whether you live there or whether you want to visit there, you're not allowed to take photographs.
Oh,
ever.
Yes. Actually, this I agree with.
I think it would add to mystique around the world of what goes on Brexit Island. You can go back and tell people of all the fun that happens on Brexit Island, but no photos of Brexit Island.
The one thing off that I will agree with, if I was president for the day, I would make it a rule that influencers banned. They are ruining places. They're ruining places.
They are.
I love any hotel that kind of puts online that just where they've kind of cast off an influencer saying, oh, but we'll do it for free promotion and that kind of thing, when they're asking for really expensive hotel rooms and stuff like that. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's everything wrong in society in one.
It's just gross.
Industry.
It is gross. Right now. When I got home late last night, after my commute back to the wilds, my friends, my former producers at the channel we don't talk about, we're still in a WhatsApp group, have been all discussing Lucy Letby.
Yes.
Because there's so many documentaries out now. There's a Channel 4, when is it out, is it not? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it is, Or it's coming out. It's coming out,
I watched the Netflix one, and I must admit, I sort of oscillated from at one hand going, I don't think she did it. So the other hand going, well, she did it, didn't she? You know, looking at all those weird notes she wrote, and then go back to, no, I don't think. And it's like weird when you watch it. You really are sort of swinging from side to side.
Definitely.
But I actually don't know.
Do you know? I do remember though. David Davis gave an interview where he basically said there was a question over whether this woman was guilty, and he got absolutely savaged for it. You know, he said, "How dare you say this? Is disrespectful to victims, all the rest of it." And then was David Davis correct? Which I think should be always do what David Davis said.
We're supposed to have fair trials.
Yeah. Well, we don't have those anymore.
Someone who may have a far better clue than we do is Crystal Casey, barrister. Chris, thank you for joining us. This really is a sort of once in a generation case. These things, it's so unusual. It is so unlike anything that I've seen trialed before, so unprecedented, and I find it really quite disturbing on two accounts, really, that when I watched the documentary, I didn't know where to fall, which for me suggests that how can we have a conclusive verdict on this? But also, if she did willfully murder all of those babies, my gosh, there's absolutely no way she should be let out of prison. If she did, It is utterly tragic and dreadful, and probably the worst example of a miscarriage of justice that I've ever encountered. If that poor girl's festering in jail having done nothing but be made a scapegoat, what should we be looking at in all of this? How are we supposed to reason this out?
Well, I recommend, as a barrister of over 30 years standing, who's done many cases in the public eye, and particularly very controversial cases in the public eye, that you ignore everything you see on television, because your kind of introduction to asking me that question was around the fact that by watching a Netflix documentary, you're left in two minds. And of course, you work in television, so you know that Netflix documentaries are heavily edited to ensure that you end up in exactly that state of mind, right. Which is, oh, I'm not sure, it could go either way, because otherwise the program's not very interesting. So I recommend that you ignore everything that you read on television, and look at what's in the sort of reality of the public domain as far as the legal process is concerned. Obviously Lucy Letby was convicted by not one but two separate juries. She had an appeal to the Court of Appeal, which was refused, and after that appeal was refused, she instructed a new legal team who have put together a medical panel who effectively have said that they disagree with all of the conclusions of the expert paediatricians or expert pathologists in the original case. And so they are now bringing the case to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, which has the power, even if someone's already appealed and something else comes to light after that appeal, the Criminal Cases Review Commission has the power to refer the case back to the Court of Appeal if there is some really strong new evidence that would make it likely that the conviction would be quashed and that the original verdict would not stand. But unless there is that high standard that whatever is being put forward on Lucy Letby's behalf to the CCRC, and we only know bits and pieces in the public domain, but whatever is being put in, if the Criminal Cases Review Commission agree that evidence is so significant and so severely undermines the evidence that was before the trial juries, then the CCRC will refer it back to the Court of Appeal, and Lucy Letby will have the opportunity once again to argue that she was unjustly and wrongly convicted.
Where do you stand on this? I mean, when you look at the empirical evidence, are you fully satisfied that this is exactly the correct conviction? This woman is essentially a serial killer of babies.
Well, once again, if I were to answer that question, all I'd be doing is giving you guesswork based upon what I've read and seen in the media, because I wasn't instructed in the case. The trial lasted for many months. There were thousands and thousands of pages of evidence. Numerous medical experts were called. They agreed and didn't agree on different points, but there were different interpretations of what you would make of insulin test results from a laboratory and whether they were reliable or not. So for me to say, as a barrister, or particularly a KC who was not involved in the case, I'm sure she's guilty or I'm sure she's not, I think would be really irresponsible. And I think it's actually much healthier if we just accept that she stands as a convicted murderer at the moment and the legal process has taken its course and that's her current status. But there may be significant new evidence, particularly expert evidence, which might cast doubt on that. And there's nothing offensive to the families in saying that's the neutral state of affairs. But we must all respect the legal process and wait for the outcome of the Criminal Cases Review Commission's decision, rather than, as it were, inflaming opinion one way or the other when we don't really have the full picture.
I mean, I think what's interesting about this, there are two things, I think, which make this case feel open-ended. One is the fact that there were no eyewitnesses of her committing these crimes, and so by and large it seems to be most of the evidence stacked against her is circumstantial, but what somebody said is, well, either she, you know, there's so much circumstantial evidence, she either did it or she's the unluckiest person in the world. But I suppose in the eyes of the law, you know, luck isn't an element that comes into it. But also I think there's a huge element of this that it sounds like a terrible thing to say, but she doesn't look the part. And I think, you know, very often the public get a sort of upswell of feelings about something because the face doesn't fit. You know, we look at the background of her, we see that she was living with her mum and dad, she seems quite quiet, she seems like quite a gentle soul, she doesn't, you know, we've heard no sort of past examples of her doing things that seemed untoward or that suggested she had character issues. And so it's sort of like, here's such a ghoulish, horrible, wicked crime. how did this young woman do it? And I think that's one of the main reasons why so many people are still digging around going, was she really guilty?
Well, you're right to raise that point because, of course, the same issues have arisen over the years with a number of these cases, including Harold Shipman, very famously, many years ago, back in the 80s, a doctor who killed hundreds of his patients over a period of time, particularly elderly patients. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the case, and I remember it going through the courts when I was a young barrister in the early 90s, and meeting his wife as we went in for visits, Harold Shipman. And the truth is that, you know, the reaction to most people around Manchester, including those in the area where Harold Shipman worked, was, you know, I just can't really believe that the local doctor would do that. You know, it doesn't make sense. Why would they be killing their patients? And of course, it ended up that there were financial motives with Harold Shipman and various other things as well. But so far as Lucy Letby is concerned, it's the same phenomenon, but on steroids, because as you rightly point out, when you have a young woman who on the face of it looks quite sympathetic and normal and wearing a nurse's uniform, looking exactly like you'd expect a nurse to look, it's a source of huge shock, isn't it, to all of us, the idea that a person in that position, whatever they look like, frankly, but just anyone in that position, could ever so actively and deliberately not only harm their patients but kill babies. I mean, it is literally the most extraordinary act of depravity, or at least, you know, the ultimate violence that you can ever imagine is the killing of a defenseless newborn baby.
But also, we are to understand that the methods of killing, the modus operandi, were so sort of creative, really, that experts couldn't figure it out for a long time. It's not like she was doing anything that was easily detectable, which also adds this other layer of sophistication onto it, where you think, gosh, so she sort of dreamt up this idea of putting air into feeding tubes, whatever it was. It's everything about it is so utterly astonishing and so remarkable. It sort of invites, doesn't it, this speculation, which, you know, perhaps you're right, perhaps it is extremely unhealthy. She is a convicted killer. She is in prison. She has faced 2 court cases and appeals. And so perhaps it's time we just put this to bed. And yet, you know, people hang on to that idea. But if this was a miscarriage of justice, isn't that truly dreadful?
Well, you're absolutely right to say that you know, of course, for the families who lost their children, to which we must all ultimately kind of extend our extraordinary sympathies and regard for their feelings. That must come sort of first and foremost. But at the same time, we do know that the criminal justice system makes mistakes, and it makes mistakes in very serious cases where ultimately people are released after spending decades and decades in prison, and we've known a number of recent cases like that. So I think the truth of it is that I think if we have an open and fair criminal justice system, we have to say that if a person who's been convicted of something of this extraordinary gravity and condemned to life in prison for the rest of their life, 50 or 60 years or however long that may be, I think if a collection of expert witnesses can commit themselves to opinions which would completely undermine the evidence that was used to convict her, I think we need to respect her right to appeal, and we need to respect the process. And if in the end the convictions are quashed, which of course is a million miles from where we are now, we're nowhere near that position. But if that were to be the outcome at the end of this process, there would be 2 possibilities. Either a further retrial would be ordered so that she would have to face trial again on a different set of evidence or a different set of legal rules, or the Court of Appeal would decide that the evidence was so discredited that there couldn't possibly be a retrial because she could never be convicted anyway. And that's the scenario which her lawyers are obviously trying to reach, which is where a Court of Appeal says this conviction is so tarnished by the unreliability of the expert evidence. And when you take all of that evidence away, there is so little left. As you say, no eyewitnesses, no video evidence. You know, there are, suspicious patterns, but once again, the defence are arguing now that those patterns in terms of her being, the number of deaths before and after she was on the ward, attributed to a complete change in the pattern of patient admissions after she left. And that's their argument. And of course, if that were the case, it would entirely explain why the number of significant incidents would change, because if you halve the number of patients or reduce it by 60%, the number of patients who are in critical condition, you're going to have many fewer deaths on the ward. So these are all the sorts of nuanced arguments that are being made. And none of us, if we're being responsible, should seek to prejudge them or prevent them being run or make a judgment about them because we don't have all the information. But we can all be sure, I think, that what's going on now is a very comprehensive process where every single stone is being unturned to see if there is anything to undermine that conviction. And I would say, on experience, that a case of this profile, if there is anything really, really extraordinary that completely, as it were, quashes the validity of those findings, I think this process will find it, and the public, I hope, in the end, will respect the outcome.
Chris, thank you ever so much. Words of wisdom there. Although unfortunately we're here to pick around and sniff about and and speculate. We are not these sort of straightforward barristers.
I understand the point he's trying to make, and it's very important. However, it just doesn't really live in the kind of how humans behave.
Doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, people still go on about the JFK assassination. People still go on about the moon landing, and yet we've got so much evidence to
that
prove.
Moon landing's weird.
I see. That's the point, and that's the point.
My granddad studied some of the first rock samples brought back from the moon. So there. Right. We're going to take a break now, but don't go anywhere.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back. Now we went serious, didn't we?
Did.
It was sort of like 1 minute, it's like, woo!
Yeah.
The penis is getting injected.
Yeah, we did the show the wrong way round.
Murderers.
Yeah, we did the show the wrong way round.
BBC. Yeah, I know, it was totally the wrong way round. It was sort of like putting a right big, massive bogey in the nostril of joy.
Yeah. That's an interesting phraseology.
I've never said it before in my life.
No, don't say it again.
I don't know where that came from. But there you go. It was a bat in the cave of happiness. But talking about the cave of happiness, I'm not going to talk about the cave of happiness because that sounds like some sort of euphemism.
Yep.
No one needs to talk about the cave of happiness right now.
Caves of happiness.
I know. We're weird. Anyway, so on my train journey home, like I said, to try and cheer myself up a bit, I wrote my happy list, a list of my favourite things, and we're going to see if I can now do it in a musical format, which is going to be difficult. The scansion's not going to marry up, but we'll give it a go.
Good luck.
Sunny day. By the way, a helpful person commented that if you press your eyelids at the same time, you get like flares and sparks. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because you increase the blood pressure around
42 years old and I've not been pressing my eyelids.
Well, I don't think it's an advisable thing to do.
Sainsbury's Taste the Difference Kenyan tea, putting the tap on really hot and letting it run over my hands.
Really hot? Or because otherwise
quite hot, challenging heat.
All right, that's a therapy situation.
No, I think it's because I get hand eczema. It sort of like gives you a strange relief.
Right.
Gives you a strange relief. Military aircraft, especially the SR-71, star bathing in my garden.
You definitely didn't do that in London.
No, you can't. Too much light pollution. Men with freckles.
Rare, but okay.
Nice, I know, rare. The colour yellow. Especially like saffron yellow.
I knew you were a yellow person.
The warmer the better. I like yellow that could be orange. Is it orange, is it yellow?
Don't start me on that.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Antiquing at the Cotswold tip, massive choirs, pubs of weird stuff, 1980s versions of Trivial Pursuit with Cold War geography, folded over crisps, chicken skin, And number haunts. We all have a number haunt.
Yeah, I do remember you and choirs where we did the pub quiz just before Christmas, and there was a choir came in, and you were adamant that we must get them to sing.
I love choirs.
It was bordering on like harassment level of.
Oh, I care for
do
choirs.
Another one.
I'm a choir groupie.
Yes, I am.
We've got to take another break. Oh, back after this.
On the point about who will lead, I mean, you need a leader who will appeal to the country, not just someone who appeals to the Labour Party. I completely accept the argument that you can't just have someone who indulges the wishes of the Labour Party. You need someone who's going to appeal to the country. For me, I think the only person who comes near that is Shabana Mahmood. And if it ever came to a leadership election, I would like to see her stand.
Well, she'd be the best of a bad lot in my view. I think she's unfortunately too right-wing for that electorate, Paul Embry.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
We live in a very sad world, and I figured out that there's a philosophy by which we should all live to make the world a better place. Oh, God. Eat more offal. Not only is it tasty and adult, it is cheap and very good for you. Watch sports with a real risk of injury and maiming, Formula 1 and rugby. It's what the Greeks would have called catharsis. It will make you less likely to go out and hit people. Drink cider. It is one of your 5 a day. Plus it makes you see things in a completely different way. Enjoy titillation in a safe way, especially when you're part of a couple. I recommend watching remakes of the Gladiators if your marriage is slightly unhappy. Never scrimp on bedding. Your thread count should always be over 1,000. Sleep is priceless. Find a word that you rarely hear used, overuse it, particularly if it's a niche one, like woggle. Make your foods from scratch. Not only do you know it's not laced with strange additives and things that are going to give you colorectal cancer, you will also be giving yourself a sense of therapy by doing something creative. Drink milk stout and feed it to your children as well. It is rich with iron and very British. Keep yourself free from dementia by learning something new like the sonnet form, or perhaps figuring out a cryptic crossword, and the machinations of similar puzzles. If you have a song you particularly like, use Spotify to find every possible remix and version. One in particular is The Windmills of My Mind. When you see a cow try to touch its wet nose, you may find it tries to bite you, but you will realise they are God's most spiritual, beautiful creatures. If someone wants to stroke your hair, even if they're homeless, perhaps let them. Circulation to the scalp area can only be good for mental activity. Learn topics that other people tell you are taboo. UFO documentaries especially are plentiful, and you never know. One day, you might come face to face with an alien. Collect things from around the world and better make them free.